Hey, welcome back to another episode with your host here, Mark Gunnels, for lineups. This episode is a Kansas update. What's going on with the Jayhawks right now? What's going on with Bill Self? What's going on with the number one recruit, Tyron Stokes, who still hasn't made his decision yet? And as I'm recording here on a Tuesday, the McDonald's All-American game is tonight. There was some speculation that maybe he'll make his decision for this event. Looks like that is not happening now. Let's get all into it. So, the latest on Bill Self, and I have a couple of inside sources in Lawrence, Kansas, that are very close to the situation, everything regarding Jayhawks athletics. And around this time last week, the expectation was that Bill Self would retire. Well, as you guys know, things can change. Things are very fluid. And as of right now, nothing is still final. But over the last 36 hours or so, I've been told now Bill Self is leaning towards returning as the head coach of the Kansas Jayhawks. Now, when Kansas lost to St. John's, immediately after the game, talking to the media, Bill Self said he wanted to take some time, talk to his family. I'm assuming talking to his doctor as well, because he's had a lot of health scares over the last couple seasons, just to see if it was feasible for him to coach another season, go through the grind of another offseason, attacking the portal, recruiting, off-season workouts, and et cetera, et cetera. The question was never if Bill Self still had love for the game, love for what he does. He said he still loves it. He still has fun doing it. He just wants to feel good while doing it. So my interpretation is that he's done all those things as far as talking to his family, talking to his doctor, people around him, talking to the athletic director, Travis Goff, and everybody in the athletic department at Kansas. And what I've also heard is that not only is it more likely he's back than he's not, I've also heard that there's been active recruiting work and NIL discussions with Self and the staff about next season. So these sound like the actions of someone that is seriously considering coaching next year, but he wants to make sure he has the pieces in place to win at the level that he expects. Because the Jayhawks haven't made the second weekend in the NCAA tournament the last 4 seasons. The year before that, when they did, they won the national championship. So they're not that far removed from that. But 4 straight years of a first weekend exit is simply not the standard at the University of Kansas. But I've also heard at the same time, while he's leaning towards probably coming back, Travis Goff, the athletic director, is still actively gearing up and prepared for a coaching search if it gets to that point. But nothing is certain yet. These are just the early indicators, 1 week and change after the season has ended. But I would imagine with the portal officially opening next Tuesday, a week from today, the day after the national championship game, that something will become public very, very soon, because they have to attack this. And like I said, it sounds like they're already prepping for the NIL budget as far as the transfer portal, guys that are probably going to enter it. We've seen names that players, they plan to enter the portal. You can't officially do it until next week, but you have a good sense of what guys are going to do. And then as far as your own roster, I mean, you have a lot of guys on your team that are probably going to entertain the thought of leaving, like a Bryson Tiller, a Cole Rosario, a Marco Jackson, Jamari McDowell, and your big man, Flory Badunga. Could he go to the NBA or go to another school? And you already know that Darren Peterson is going to the NBA. There's no doubt about that one. So with all these moving parts, I believe the longer this goes on without a retirement announcement, the more likely that Bill Self is going to stay because he doesn't want to put KU in a bad position where he waits too late to retire. Now they got to find a new coach. Now they got to figure out the transfer portal, the NIL situation, and your current roster, guys leaving, and your current commits. You have 3 or 4 freshmen that are already committed for next season, which is highlighted by Taylon Kinney, the #1 point guard of the 2026 class. And if Bill were to retire, I would imagine that this knocks them out the running for the aforementioned #1 overall recruit of this class, Tyron Stokes. And that's another angle of this. There was some chatter over the weekend that maybe Tyron Stokes could make his announcement tonight at the McDonald's All-American game. But now there's new reports out that that is not the expectation, that this will take at least another week or so for Stokes to make his official announcement. And just reading through the tea leaves, it sounds like to me, and it's between Kansas and Kentucky. Those are the top 2 bidders right now for Stokes, with Oregon as the distant 3rd team. But I get the sense that Stokes wants to be a Jayhawk, but I think there's a couple of loopholes or a couple of things that could be getting in the way here. One being, will Stokes return? I think that's #1. And the second being that Stokes, with such a high profile that he has, and him being a Nike athlete, is it weird that he goes to Kansas and it's an Adidas school? Now, we've had examples before of guys that were represented by a certain shoe brand and then go to one of their competitors. So it's not something that hasn't happened before. But would it be ideal for Nike for him to be at an Adidas school? I would imagine not. But at the same time, it's just going to be for 1 year. It's not like he's going to be at Kansas for multiple seasons. So I don't think that will ultimately decide what he wants to do for the next 12 months of his basketball career. But I think right now, in the current state of Kentucky, they don't have no recruits. They're going to be desperate. They have a lot of NIL money, so they're going to definitely throw the bag at Stokes. But if Self goes to KU, talks to the AD, talks to the donors, and says, this is my last year, let's go all in. Let's go all in. I know it hasn't worked out the last couple years. Last year, we spent the bag on the #1 recruit in Darren Peterson. It didn't work out. But let's go crazy with the bag this year. Let's get Stokes. Let's surround him with other elite talent. You already have Taylon Kinney, the #1 point guard, so you can have a dynamic duo there. Let's retain a couple of our key guys, give them the money, and let's build essentially a super team. I think that would be a great sales pitch. Bill Self is the greatest coach in Kansas history. And if that was his pitch and he says, this is my last year, I think those donors will be willing to empty out their pockets on a farewell tour to where Kansas at least makes a deep run. And not to mention, we know the regions for next year too. And the Midwest region next year is in Kansas City. So if Kansas is a 1 or a 2 seed, they will likely be put in that Midwest region. And could you imagine a better send-off where you have Kansas playing in the Sweet 16 and the Elite Eight, and they win that Elite Eight game to go to the Final Four, and it's in Kansas City? I think that would be a great, great send-off if you're a Bill Self, and if you're just a Kansas fan, Kansas supporter, Kansas alum, to have that. I mean, that would be a massive home court advantage to propel you to Detroit. That's where the Final Four is at next year. So I think at the end of the day, I think Bill Self will return. I don't think he wants to go out on that note. I think he likes this class that he has coming in, and he would love it if you add a Tyron Stokes to that class. And if you're Tyron Stokes, I mean, why would you want to go to Kentucky right now? I mean, they're in flux. John Calipari's not there anymore. Pretty much half the fan base wants Mark Pope fired, the current head coach. Rupp Arena is a wine and cheese crowd. They don't have really a student section. You get to play at Allen Fieldhouse. You go to Kansas, the greatest home court advantage in all of college basketball. You got the mystique, you got the history, you got one of the greatest head coaches in college basketball history, and you get to play with your friend, Taylor Kinney, the #1 point guard that's committed to Kansas. Him and Stokes, they're both from Kentucky, and they both played middle school together. And they've been seen at the McDonald's practices over the last couple of days, taking pictures together and hanging out. It just seems like it's a no-brainer if you're Stokes. So we'll see how it plays out. I'm sure by next week, especially by after the national championship game, when the portal officially opens, we'll have a lot more updates on Bill Self, on Tyron Stokes' big decision, what guys are leaving or coming to Kansas. So I'll be sure to update you guys next week on that. Thank you guys for tuning in. Take care.